welcome to today's lesson, which is on solving quadratic simultaneous equations. So, first of all, it might be worth mentioning that we're using algebraic methods to solve simultaneous equations today. You can use graphical methods, there's a way of using iteration as well, but today we're using algebraic methods to solve quadratic simultaneous equation. It's also worth mentioning that we're using substitution, so we're going to be substituting into our values, so taking our linear value and substituting into our quadratic to find our actual value. So, first of all, let's have a little look at this one here. So, solve the simultaneous equation ensuring you are using full algebraic methods. So we're not using trial and error, we're not using graphical methods, we're using algebraic methods now. So, the first one we've got here is equal to y is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 1, and we've got y is equal to x squared plus 2x. Now the reason I've picked this one is because actually it's a relatively easy one. The first thing I notice is that these are both equal to y. So because these are both equal to y, I can make them actually equal to each other. So because this here is equal to y, let's just put a little, so this here is equal to y, and this here is equal to y, which means that both of these things must be equal. So, because they're both equal, we can say that x squared plus 2x is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 1. So we're substituting this part into here, okay? And then what I need to do is I need to rearrange and solve. So the first thing we're going to do with this one is I'm going to minus x squared from both sides. So that there will cancel, so I'm just left with 2x is equal to 3x minus 1. And then I'm going to actually minus the 2x from both sides, so minus 2x, minus 2x. So I end up with 0 on this side. 3x minus 2x is just 1x. I've got 1x minus 1. And remember, I'm trying to solve to find x. So I've got to substitute that, I've got to take that one over to the other side. So add 1, end up with 1 is equal to x. Super. But here we're also looking at, we don't just want one of our solutions, we want two of our solutions, we want both of them. So I've got x, but I do also need to work out y as well. And I'm going to do that by substituting this back into our original equation. So I'm substituting back into this first part. So here we've got y is equal to x squared plus 2x. I just pick that smaller one just because it's a little bit easier. And I'm substituting this back into here. So it's going to be y is equal to 1 squared plus 2 times by 1, like so. Remember, that we're substituting x in to find y. And then, that's quite easy. So 1 squared is 1, plus 1 times 2 is 2. So y is equal to 3. So we've got our solution. Now these can actually be thought about as coordinates. So when x is 1, y is equal to 3. We could write it as a coordinate if we wanted to, 1, 3. But in terms of this, because we're not doing it graphically, we're just going to say, last little part to make sure we know, x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 3. Now, there's actually only one pair of solutions for this, and it's this one. Sometimes there's more than one pair. In this case, there's only one. So, let's have a look at the next question. Now, do make sure you're getting this down. This was example 1. Remember, the only way to learn maths is to do it, so you do want to make sure you're getting some of these down. That was the first example there. Notice how this wasn't quadratic towards the end. It started off looking like a quadratic, but it actually turned out to be a linear equation because both of these cancelled. So we're going to have a look now at example 2. So this one's a little bit tricky, and you'll see why in a second. So solve the following simultaneous equation ensuring you use full algebraic methods. So this here is example 1. Now this is more like example 2. This is more like what we're going to be getting in the GCSE. In fact, I've actually seen a very similar example like this come up before. So here we've got y is equal to x plus 3, and y is equal to x squared plus x minus 1. So you notice that again, they're both equal to y, which means that we can make them equal to each other. So here we're going to make this one equal to this one. So again, I'm just going to make it really clear why. Y is equal to x plus 3, but y is also equal to x squared plus x minus 1. So they're both equal to y, which means I can say that is equal to this. So I've got x plus 3 is equal to x squared plus x minus 1. And then I need to solve it very similar to last time. Now the reason this one gets a little bit trickier is because actually we don't have the x squared on this side. So I'm going to minus the x and minus the x. So if I take away x from this side and take away x from this side, I'm just left with 3 is equal to x squared minus 1. Remember, I'm trying to solve to find out what x is. So I want to get x on its own. So actually I'm going to take the 1 over this side. So plus 1, take that over, and we end up with 4 is equal to x squared. Last little part, I'm going to need to square root this part. So square root and square root. Now do be careful when you square root, especially in these ones. Now, you've got to be really, really careful because the square root of 4 is not 2. A lot of people think that. The square root of 4 is actually plus and minus 2, okay? And the reason for that is because we've got, the square root means what do I need to times by itself to get 4? Well, I times by 2 by itself to get 4, but I also times minus 2 by itself. So I actually end up with two solutions. X is equal to 2 or x is equal to minus 2. Brilliant. But then I've got to substitute both of these in to find out my alternate, so find out my y's. So y is equal to x plus 3, y is equal to x plus 3. Notice I've used this linear equation instead of the quadratic just because it's a little easier. So then substitute 2 into here, y is equal to 2 plus 3, so y is equal to 5. And in this one, y is equal to minus 2 plus 3, so I end up with y is equal to 1. Absolutely perfect. So then to finish this off, we're going to write both of these solutions down. So x is equal to 2 when y is equal to 5, and x is equal to minus 2 when y is equal to 1. Brilliant. And that's that question done. Again, it is quadratic, and we do get two solutions, but we do need to make sure that we're writing down what the final two solutions are. Now, this actually means that it's crossing in 2 points. Okay, so it's crossing here at 2, 5, but it's also crossing at minus 2, 1. These are actually both lines. This one here is a curved line. It looks like a U shape. And this one here is a straight line. So we've got a curved shape. Let's just draw it on here so you can see it. We've got a curved shape looking like a U, crossing a straight shape. And we've actually got two coordinates where it's crossing. So I'm crossing here and I'm crossing here. And these are the two coordinates that I'm crossing on. That's what this means. Okay, so let's have a look now at example 3. So, there's the solutions, 2, 5, minus 2, 1, absolutely perfect. So the next one here, example 3. Now notice this says 5 marks, which means this has come from a past paper, okay? So this one here is a little bit trickier, not that much trickier, okay? But there is a little bit of an extra part to this, and especially because it's 5 marks, okay? So this one here is example 3. Remember to make sure you're getting these down in your notes, because the only way to learn maths is to do it, okay? So here I've got x squared plus y squared is equal to 36. Now you don't need to know this, but this is actually a circle, centre 0, 0, radius 6. But we'll talk about that at a different time. And here we've got our linear equation, x is equal to 2y plus 6. Now, there's lots of different steps to this, so I'm going to take them really, really slowly. The first thing we need to think about is the fact that here we've got this, quadratic or curved equation here, x squared plus y squared is equal to 36. We've got that there. This here is linear. Why is this linear? Well, it's got no squares, and it's just x is equal to this. It could be y is equal to something like we saw before, but in this case, it's x is equal to 2y plus 6. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I need to use substitution. So I need to make it equal to one of the things that I want. In this case, it's already like that. X is equal to 2y plus 6. So I know that x is equal to this part here. Okay? Now, because I know x on its own is a one thing, I can now substitute that in to this top equation. So I'm putting this into here. So let's do that first of all. So I'm putting 2y plus 6 and I'm replacing anything that's got an x with that. So it's going to be, this first one is x, so I'm replacing all of that. So it's going to be, make sure you're using the brackets to make sure you are putting all of it in. So 2y plus 6 all squared. Now that's this part here, okay, this part here, plus y squared is equal to 36. So 2y plus 6 plus y squared is equal to 36. Super. Now, I've substituted it in, but now I need to solve to find y, and this is where it gets a little bit trickier. Now, the reason it gets a little bit tricky is because you've got to rearrange and make it equal to 0 because it's a quadratic. So we're going to have a look at all of this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this bracket. Now, remember that squared doesn't just mean square the first one, square the second one. It means all of this bracket times by all of this bracket. So 2y plus 6 times by 2y plus 6 plus y squared is equal to 36. Now, remember with this one, you can use any method you want. I prefer the grid method for this, okay? Just because I know what's coming with binomial expansion and things like that, and it's easier to use the grid method when you're doing those kind of topics. Not that you've seen them yet. But I prefer to use the grid method, so it's going to be 2y and 6, 2y and 6. So remember I'm times in all of these. So 2y times 2y, let's do it in a different colour just so we can see it, is 4y squared. 2y times 6 is equal to 12y. 6 times 2y is 12y, and 6 times 6 is equal to 36. We can bring these ones together here, okay? So I end up with 4y squared, which is this top one. 12y plus 12y is equal to 24y plus 36, okay? And then that's all of these two brackets here. I've just expanded those brackets. So now I need to add the rest of this, which is plus y squared plus 36. So I've expanded the bracket. Now what I need to do is I need to, oops, that should be equal 36, sorry. I've expanded the bracket. Now what I need to do is I need to make sure that I'm making it equal to 0 and simplifying it, okay? So here, 4y plus y squared is equal to 5y squared. The 24y is fine, so plus 24y. Now notice you've got 36 on both sides. We want to make this equal to 0. So what I need to do is I need to minus the 36 from this side. I've simplified these first of all. You can just see that. I'll show you what I've done there. So that one there is that one there. I've got a y, but there's no other y, so I've just got that y there. But now I need to minus the 36 from this side and minus 36 from this side. Now the reason I'm minusing 36 from both sides is to make this equal to 0. So let's think about this first side first. When I minus 36 from here, it is equal to 0. But when I minus 36 from this side, I also end up with nothing as well. So I'm just left with this here. I'm left with 5y squared plus 24y is equal to 0. And now I've got an equation that's equal to 0 that I can solve. Now, there's a few different ways you can solve this. The reason I'm seeing this is probably 5 marks is because actually, this may have come up on the non-calculator page because you can actually factorise this into a single bracket, not a double bracket. You could have used the quadratic formula with A being equal to 5, B being equal to 24, and C being equal to nothing, not this nothing, but there's no extra value here. So we could have used that. But in this case here, I'm going to use factorising into a single bracket just because I can see that I can do it. So let's write it on here just so I can continue it over. So 5y squared plus 24y is equal to 0. So I can factorise this into a single bracket. So what can I take out? I can take out y bracket 5y plus 24 is equal to 0. Okay, so now I've factorised it into a single bracket. I've got two things which multiply together to make 0, which means the first one must be equal to 0, or the second bracket must be equal to 0. So either this must be equal to 0, or 5y plus 24 is equal to 0. Brilliant. So the only one I need to solve is actually this one. So minus 24 minus 24. So I end up with 5y is equal to minus 24. Divide by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5. I'm going to end up with y is equal to minus 24 divided by 5. You might be able to do that in your head. How many times does 5 go into it? It goes 5, 10, 15, 20, so 4 times, and then 4 over 5. So 4 over 5 is 0.8, so it's actually minus 4.8. You can do that in your head, okay? Now, I've still not finished this question. The reason I've not finished is because I've still got to find my x values, okay? So my x values, I'm going to use the linear equation for this. Now, the linear part of this equation was this x is equal to 2y plus 6. So x is equal to 2y plus 6. And I'm going to use it for this one as well. X is equal to 2y plus 6. I'm going to sub in my first value, which I've just worked out, which was the 0. So x is equal to 2 times by 0 plus 6. So x is equal to 6. So I've got my first set of equations. X is equal to 6 when y is equal to 0. Super. The next one's a little bit trickier, but it's this minus 4.8, isn't it? So x is equal to 2 times by minus 4.8 plus 6. So 2 times by 4 minus 4.8, I can do actually. So, because it's only 2. 2 times by 5 would be 10. 2 times by 4.8, well, maybe I can do it. You can use a grid method, you can use the Chinese method, you can use any times multiplication you want, or you could just use your head. 2 times by 4 is equal to 8. 2 times by the 0.8 would be 1.6. This is going to be equal to minus 9.6 plus 6. So minus 9.6 plus 6. So plus that 6 on, I'm going to get x is equal to negative 3.6. Okay, when y was equal to this minus 4.8. Now that's worth 5 marks on the GCSE paper. This comes up towards the end of the GCSE paper. Okay, again, remember that these are coordinates. So it's crossing at 6, 0, and it's crossing at minus 3, minus 4.8. So let's just check those answers. So 6, 0, super, and the minus 3, minus 4.8. Again, I reckon this will probably come up on the non-calculator, so you would be expected to do all of this non-calculator method, but that's why it's worth 5 marks. This is why it'll come up towards the end, because you've got lots of tricky techniques here. There's loads going on. We're using substitution at first. We're expanding double brackets. We are then creating an equation, making it equal to 0. We're then factorizing that equation. We're then solving the factorized quadratic equation. And then we are also solving to find both of these coordinates or both of these crossing points. All right, okay. So let's have a look at the next one. So again, the next one, in fact, I'm going to put this one up. I'm going to suggest that you pause and have a go at this one yourself. Okay, so pause now and have a little go at that. Okay, I'm going to have a little go at this one. So let's have a little look at it. So we've got, remember this is example 3. Remember to make sure you're having a go at these, because the only way to learn maths is to do it, okay? So I've got x squared plus y squared is equal to 5, and y is equal to 3x plus 1. So I've got a quadratic, or it's actually a circle. I've got a curved graph, and I've got a linear graph, and I'm trying to find out when these two cross. Now this is already equal to y, so I don't need to do any rearranging on this. I'm just going to substitute this one into here. So I'm going to replace the y with the part of x that I know, which is 3x plus 1. So I'm substituting this into this part here. So let's do that first of all. So I end up with x squared, which is this part, plus, I'm putting all of this into here. So I'm going to need to use brackets. So it's going to be 3x plus 1 all squared, super, is equal to 5, to this part here. Now we've substituted in, we're going to expand our bracket and then simplify and solve this. Notice that this one's actually worth 6 marks, so it's actually worth 1 more mark. So I'm expecting this one to be ever so slightly harder. Again, this one has come up on a past paper. So I've got x squared. I'm going to do my grid method over here. So 3x plus 1, 3x plus 1. So 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. 3x times 1 is 3x. And 1 times 1 is equal to 1. So I can simplify this by bringing these ones together. So I end up with 9x squared plus 3x plus 3x is 6x plus 1 over here. So that's that done. Let's substitute that into there because we know that's equal to that. So I've got plus 9x squared plus 6x plus 1 is equal to 5. Super. Right, okay, so I've got that now. My next stage is going to be to simplify this and make it equal to 0. So let's first of all simplify these parts here. So x squared plus 9x squared is 10x squared plus 6x plus 1 is equal to 5. Super. Next part is to subtract this 5 to make it equal to 0. So 10x squared plus 6x, 1 minus 5 is equal to minus 4, which is equal to 0. Super, super, super. Now I need to solve this. Now the first thing I notice is I can divide all of these by 2. I can only divide them all by 2 because it's an equation. So don't think you can just divide anything by 2. It's only because this is an equation I can do that. So I can do 5x squared plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So the next thing I need to consider is the fact that this is do I need to use the quadratic formula for this, or do I need to use factorizing? Now I happen to know that this came up on a non-calculator paper, so actually they're expecting you to factorize this one, which is why it's worth the 6 marks. Now, to decide whether you're going to be factorizing this or using the quadratic formula, to be honest, it just depends on what day you do it. If you're doing this in the non-calculator section, on the non-calculator paper, then you're going to be using factorizing. If you're doing this on the calculator paper, the easiest way is to just use the quadratic formula. So get used to that. So I'm going to use factorization for this. Now, if you are not sure on how to factorize this, it might be worth watching Factorizing with a number in front of the x squared, because this always comes up. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is do 5 times by negative 2, which is equal to minus 10. And you need 2 numbers that multiply together to make minus 10 and add together to make the centre number, which is plus 3. So let's do the factors of minus 10. So that's going to be 1 and 10, 2 and 5. That's it. Okay, that's all I really need. So which ones make 3? Well, because it's minus 10 and it's going to be 3, it's going to be minus 2 plus 5. Now remember, these aren't your factors. This is what we're splitting our middle number up into. So I split this middle number up, okay? And what do I end up with here? Well, I end up with 5x squared minus 2x, so this one, plus 5x minus 2 is equal to 0. Super. So I've split that middle number up, and then I need to factorize both sides. Now notice what I can factorize out on this side. So I'm going to take x out on this side, x bracket 5x minus 2. Now actually nothing comes out of this side, so the only thing I can take out is a 1. So 1 bracket 5x minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so I've got the same bracket on both sides here. So x bracket 5x minus 2 plus 1 bracket 5x minus 2 is equal to 0. And then what we need to do with this one is we've got a bracket in common in both of these. So we've got 5x minus 2 in common in both of them, so we're taking that out as a common factor. So it's going to be, this taken out as a common factor is 5x minus 2 bracket x plus 1 is equal to 0. Super, now I factorise that. So the next stage of this is that I need to solve this. Well, I've got 2 things which multiply together to make 0. So I know either my first one must be equal to 0 or my second one must be equal to 0. So either 5x minus 2 is equal to 0 or x plus 1 is equal to 0. So let's solve this one first. Add 2, add 2. 5x is equal to 2. This one here, minus 1, x is equal to minus 1. And then divide by 5, divide by 5. So here, x is equal to 2 over 5. And here, x is equal to minus 1. Now, do remember that I've not actually finished this yet, because I've only found out my x values. And actually, I also need to work out my y values as well. So with this one here, my linear equation was this one here. Okay, this is my linear equation. So I'm going to be substituting into that. So y is equal to 3x plus 1. And my 2x values are x is equal to 2 over 5 and x is equal to minus 1. So I'm subbing this in first. We could do it as a decimal if you want. So what is that as a decimal? That's equal to 0.4. Okay, 4 over 10 if you want to think about it like that. So let's substitute this in. So y is equal to 3 times by 0.4 plus 1. Brilliant. And let's substitute this in. So y is equal to 3 times by minus 1 plus 1. So 3 times by 0.4, well 3 times by 0.4 is going to be 0.4, 0.8, 1.2. So it's going to be 1.2 plus 1. So y is equal to 1.2 plus 1 is equal to 2.2. And this one, 3 times minus 1 is minus 3, plus the 1 is equal to y is equal to minus 2. Super. So I've got my two equations, sorry, my two crossing points. Remember to write those down. I've got x is equal to 0.4 when y is equal to 2.2, and x is equal to minus 1 when y is equal to minus 2. And these are our two crossing points. Again, there's lots going on there. We've got, let's go from right from the very beginning just so we can think about it. We've got our circle or curved graph. We've got our linear graph. We're substituting in our linear graph into that first one. We're then expanding this bracket out here. We are then simplifying this. We're then making it equal to 0. Now the reason that this is worth 6 marks is because the next step, I need to factorize this factorize this using factorizing with a letter in front of x squared. Again, if you're not sure how to do that, make sure you watch the video on it from before. So we factorized using this technique here. We've ended up with two solutions. X is equal to 2 over 5 and x is equal to minus 1. And then the last little part is I substitute those in just to find my y values as well. So that is quite tough. Let's just check that and make sure that's right. So 0.4 and 2.2, brilliant, and minus 1, let's just check it here, sorry. 0.4 and 2.2, and minus 1, minus 2, absolutely perfect. So, brilliant, that's that question done. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one here. So, this one here is a little bit different now. Notice with this one here, they've said a couple of things. There's a couple of things which are slightly different on this one. So the first thing says, give your answers to 2 decimal places. Now, what that's screaming out to me is that you've got to use the quadratic formula, okay? That's what it's telling me here. Solve to 2 decimal places means I'm using the quadratic formula, okay? So, the next thing that screams out to me is that in my previous ones, I had y is equal to or x is equal to, and in this one, I don't have that. All I've got here is that I've got something which is linear, but it's x and y on the same side. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is rearrange this to make it equal to x or y. So let's write it down first. Remember to make sure you're getting this in your notes because the only way to learn maths is to do it. Okay, this is example 4. Example 4. So, here we've got x minus 2y is equal to 4. And x squared minus 3y is equal to 8. So remember what I said first of all, the first thing I'm going to need to do with this one is make it equal to either x or y. Now, the idea is to make this as easy as possible for you. So am I going to make it equal to x or y? Well, actually, the best thing for me to do is to make it equal to x. Now, why is that? Well, the reason it's the easiest is because I've just got x on its own, so I can just take this 2y over. If I was to make it equal to y, I'd have to divide by 2 or minus 2 at some point. So I'd take the x over, then divide by minus 2. This is messy. You can use that technique, but it is really messy. So the best thing to do here is to just, let's write it over here. X minus 2y is equal to 4. So I'm going to plus 2y plus 2y. So I end up with x is equal to 4 plus 2y. So this here is my starred equation, okay? 4 plus 2y, notice now it's equal to x. If you want, you can write that underneath and use these two and just think about these two. So x is equal to 4 plus 2y, and these are the two now that I'm going to be thinking about. So remember, I sub my linear equation into my quadratic. In this case, it's x in for x. So I'm going to sub that here. Let's underline it so you can see it. I'm substituting this in for that x squared part. So it's going to be bracket 4 plus 2y all squared minus, so that's that part there, substituted in for the x, minus the 3y is equal to 8. Brilliant. So I've substituted in that value. The next thing I need to do is to expand this bracket and make it equal to 0. So I'll expand the bracket over here. So 4, 2y, 4 and 2y. 4 times by 4 is equal to 16, not 8. I nearly put 8 then. 4 times by 2y is equal to 8y. 4 times by 2y is 8y. 2y times 2y is 4y squared. I'm going to bring the y's together, which is this part here. Okay, so then I end up with 16 plus 16y plus 4y squared. I probably should have put that in order. 4y squared plus 16y plus 16. Brilliant. So I remember this is that bracket. So now I'm substituting that back to there. So all of this is equal to, doesn't matter which way we've done it round, 4y squared plus 16y plus 16 minus 3y is equal to 8. Super. So I've expanded that bracket and now I need to make it equal to 0. So let's simplify what I can first. So the things I can simplify, well, there's no y squared to simplify this time, but there is these y's. So let's do that first of all. So 4y squared, 16y take away 3y is plus 13y, plus 16 is equal to 8. Now I need to make it equal to 0, so I'm going to do that by minusing 8, minusing 8. If I minus 8 from this side, the whole point of this is I make it equal to 0. I'm minusing 8 from this side. 16 minus 8 is equal to 8, plus the 13y plus the 4y squared. Absolutely brilliant. So now we've got our quadratic. Now remember, going back to what we said at first, we're using the quadratic formula here. Okay, so I'm going to be using the quadratic formula. So my quadratic formula, let's do this in different colours so you can see it. So I can't simplify this, there's nothing I can divide it by. I know I'm using the quadratic formula because it says do it to 2 decimal places. So here we've got A is equal to bracket 4 bracket, B is equal to bracket 13 bracket, and C is equal to bracket 8 bracket. Super. So let's write down what the quadratic formula is. So x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now with this, do not try and do any of the calculations yourself. Just put it straight into your calculator. So x is equal to minus bracket b bracket minus 13 here, plus or minus the square root of 13 squared, using the bracket, don't use anything else, minus 4 times by 4 times by c, which is 8 there, like so. Super. So all divided by 2 times by a, which is 4. Now remember what I'm saying here, do not try and mess around with this. Just put it straight into your calculator. So here on your calculator, we press the fraction button first. Where's that? So fraction button first. So minus bracket 13 close bracket plus the square root of bracket 13 bracket squared minus 4 times by 4 times by 8. Brilliant. So all over 2 times by 4. Super. Let's put that in. So I end up with this horrible, but we're expecting it to be horrible because it's set to 2 decimal places. So my first one is that x is equal to minus 0.82. Now, I've got my positive value. Remember, it's plus and minus, so I need to work out my negative value, and I do that by going all the way back, all the way back, all the way back here. Delete this one, change it to a minus, put that in, and I end up with, this time, minus 2.4. So x is equal to minus 2.43. So notice with this that actually I wrote this at first in terms of x's, but actually it should be equal to y, because it's 4y squared plus 13y. So these are actually equal to the y values, not the x values. So just be really careful with that. It's easy to make that mistake because the quadratic formula always starts with x, but we want to avoid that. So let's just write down what these are first of all. So y is equal to minus 0.82 and y is equal to minus 2.43. Remember that I haven't finished this yet because I've still got to find out what x is by subbing into this value here. So x is equal to 4 plus 2y and x is equal to 4 plus 2y. So x is equal to 4 plus 2 times by minus 0.82 and x is equal to 4 plus 2 times by minus 2.43. So let's substitute both those values in. So 4 plus 2 times by minus 0.82, which is equal to x is equal to 2.36, and then the other one, 4 plus 2 times by minus 2.43, which is x is equal to minus 0.86. Now with this one here, let's just make it really clear to the examiner. When x is equal to 2.36, y is equal to minus 0.82, and when x is equal to minus 0.86, y is equal to minus 2.43, both to 2 decimal places. So let's just check that answer. So when x is equal to minus 0.86, y is equal to minus 2.43, and when x is equal to 2.36, y is equal to minus 0.82. Brilliant. So let's have a look at the next question then. So let's have a go at this one if you want me to go through it. So I've got 3x plus y is equal to 8 and 3x squared plus y squared is equal to 28. First thing I need to do, I'm just going to go through this one quite quickly because I've been talking through and being really detailed, but I want to try and get through some of these now. So let's make it equal to y first. So 3x plus y is equal to 8. So minus 3x, I end up with y is equal to 8 minus 3x. Brilliant. So let's substitute that now into here. So I end up with 3x squared plus y, which was this. So 8 minus 3x squared, which is equal to 28. Super. So then I need to expand this bracket. So 8 and minus 3x, 8 and minus 3x. 8 times by 8 is equal to 64. 8 times by minus 3 is equal to minus 8 times by minus 3 is equal to minus 24x. 3 times by that is minus 24x. Minus 3 times minus 3x is positive 9x squared. Super. Bringing these two together, I end up with 64 minus 24 is equal to minus 48x plus 9x squared. Let's make it the right way so I can substitute it in. Super. So now let's put this back into my original equation. So let's just put a line there so I know that that's separate. 3x squared plus 9x squared minus 48x plus 64 is equal to 28. Let's simplify this now. So the 3x and 9x is 3x plus 9x is equal to 12x squared minus 48x. And I'm just going to do this all in one step. So I'm going to minus the 28 to make it equal to 0. So 64 minus 28. 64 minus 28 is equal to plus 36, which is equal to 0. Notice with this, actually, 12 goes into all of these, doesn't it? So how many times does 12 go into this one? So I'm going to divide all this by 12. So divide the left-hand side by 12. I'm going to get 12x divided by 12x squared divided by 12 is just x squared. 48x divided by 12 is equal to minus 4x. And 36 divided by 12 is equal to plus 3, which is equal to 0. Now I can factorize this both sides. So something that times is together to make 3, adds together to make minus 4. Well, let's do the factors of 3. 1 and 3, that's it. Remember, it's minus 4, so it must be minus 1 and minus 3. So x minus 1, x minus 3 is equal to 0. So two things that times together to make 0. So x minus 1 is equal to 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 1, or x is equal to 3. Super. Still not quite finished because I need to find out what my y value is. And I'm going to substitute that into this here, which is my rearranged, already rearranged to be equal to y. So y is equal to 8 minus 3x. Y is equal to 8 minus 3x. Substitute that in. Y is equal to 8 minus 3 times 1. And y is equal to 8 minus 3 times 3. So y is equal to 8 minus 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is equal to 3. So 8 minus 3 is equal to 5. Super. And 3 times 3 is 9. So 8 minus 9 is equal to minus 1. Super. Remember, let's just make it really clear what our two values are. So we're saying here now that when x is equal to 1, y is equal to 5. X is equal to 1, y is equal to 5. And when x is equal to 3, or when x is equal to 3, y is equal to minus 1. So let's just check that answer. Let's have a little look. Super. Absolutely brilliant. So we've done that one there now. That was example 5. What I'm going to suggest you do is have a look at this one. This one is tricky, okay? I've put this one up here as like a real push. If I'm honest, I don't know whether I've seen one this difficult in the GCSE. This difficulty definitely certainly comes up at the start of A-level, okay? So this might come up at the beginning of the AS paper. I'm not saying it couldn't come up in GCSE, because it definitely could, but this one here is a little bit trickier. Not that much trickier, it's still exactly the same techniques, you've just got a little bit more to think about. Okay, so this one here is example 6. If you want to have a go at it first, I'll pause now and have a little go at it. Okay, so let's have a little look at this then. Example 6, which is x minus y is equal to 2, and x squared minus 5xy plus 2y squared is equal to 8. Super. So the first thing I need to do, notice that it's not equal to x and y, so I need to either make it equal to x or y. And I think the easiest thing in this one is to take the y over to make it equal to x. So plus y, so I end up with x is equal to 2 plus y. Brilliant, starting point. So now I'm going to sub this in for all of my x values. So this is what I'm replacing with x, because it's equal to x. So it's 2 plus y squared, so this part, minus, now I'm just going to make this 5y here. So 5y, instead of 5xy, I'm going to say 5yx. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it's going to be 5y times by x, which I know is this. Super. Plus the 2y squared is equal to 8. Brilliant. So then you can see why it's a little bit harder now, because I've got to expand this bracket and this bracket. I'm going to expand this bracket on the side the same way as I always do, so using the grid method. So 2 and y, 2 and y, 2 times by 2 is 4, 2 times by y is 2y, 2 times by y is 2y, and y times by y is y squared. Bringing these two together, so I end up with y squared plus 4y plus 4, that's that one. Okay, so let's start writing this down. And you might need a bit more space in this one. So y squared plus 4y plus 4, which is that. I'm going to expand this out now. Be careful with this negative here. It's negative in front of that. So it's minus 5y times by 2, which is equal to minus 10y. Notice I'm taking my time with this because it's a negative. Minus 5y times by y is minus 5y squared. Plus the 2y squared is equal to 8. Brilliant. So next up, what I need to do is to simplify all of this. Now I've got loads of y squareds here, so let's think about those first. So y squared minus 5y squared plus 2y. So y squared plus 2y squared is 3y squared, minus the 5y squared is equal to, minus the 5y squared is equal to actually minus 3y squared. So now let's have a look at just the y's on its own. So 4y minus 10y is equal to 4y minus 10y is minus 6y. And then on this side, I've only got that 4 left. So plus 4 is equal to 8. Now, usually I bring that 8 over, don't I? But with this one, because I've got this negative and because I've got this negative, I want to make sure that my squared is positive. So I'm actually going to take everything over to the other side. So I'm going to add this, and subtract this from that other side. Let's do it one at a time just so you can see how I've done it. So minus 4 minus 4, that becomes minus 3y squared minus 6y is equal to 8 minus 4, which is 4, plus 6y plus 6y. They will cancel and end up with minus 3y squared is equal to 6y plus 4. Brilliant. Then I have plus 3y squared plus 3y squared. They will cancel and end up with 0 is equal to 3y squared plus 6y plus 4. Super. So, am I going to be factorising this, or am I going to be using the quadratic formula? So notice that it doesn't say it to 2 decimal places, and again I actually know that this one comes with a non-calculator paper, so I'm going to be factorising this. Okay, so here 0 is equal to 3y squared plus 6y plus 4, like so. 3 times by 4 is 12 in this case. So I need something that times this together to make 12 and adds together to make 6. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 times by 4. So, okay, so let's get this down. So example 6. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's get this down first. The first thing I'm going to do, like I always have, notice that this isn't equal to x or y, so I need to make it equal to x and y. So x minus y is equal to 2. Take the y over and end up with x is equal to 2 plus y, like so. And this here is what I'm going to be substituting into this. Okay, notice that x is equal to 2 plus y. So x is equal to 2 plus y, so I'm substituting that in. So x is 2 plus y, so it's going to be bracket 2 plus y all squared, first of all, minus, now I'm going to bring this y in front of this, okay, so it's going to, instead of saying minus 5xy, I'm going to have minus 5yx, and the reason is because I'm substituting for x, so it's going to be minus 5y times by x, which is equal to this 2 plus y, plus 2y squared is equal to 8. Now you can see why this one's a little bit harder. The reason this one's a little bit harder is because I've got to expand this, but I've also got to expand this bracket as well. So let's just expand the one on the left first. So 2 and y, 2 and y. So 2 times by 2 is 4. 2 times by y is equal to 2y. 2 times by y is 2y. And y times by y is y squared. Super. So I end up with y squared plus 4y plus 4. Brilliant. So that's that part. So y squared plus 4y plus 4. Now I need to expand this. So be careful because this is negative. So minus 5y times 2. Minus 5y times 2 is, minus 10y. Minus 5y times by y is minus 5y squared. Plus the 2y squared is equal to 8. So I've got all these x's, all these squares, everything in here, but I need to make sure that I bring all the x squared together. So let's underline those. X squared, x squared, x squared. So let's keep saying x squared, y squared this should be. Y squared plus 2y squared is 3y squared. Take away 5y squared is equal to minus 2y squared. 4y take away 10y is equal to minus 6y. And then so that's those two sorted. Let's circle those just so you can see them. That one and that one. Super. And then 4y plus 4, is equal to 8. So now with this one, I need to make it equal to 0. Now, usually I take this 8 over, don't I? But with this one, I'm going to take everything over to the other side. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to make sure that this is positive. So I'm taking everything over to the other side. I'm going to do that individually just so you can see what I'm talking about. So minus 4, minus 4. Minus 4 from that side, it gets rid of it. So I'm just left with minus 2y squared minus 6y is equal to 8 minus 4, which is 4. Brilliant. Plus the 6y plus the 6y. So they will then cancel. I end up with minus 2y squared is equal to 6y plus 4. Brilliant. And then plus 2y squared plus 2y squared. That will now be equal to 0. Okay. That's now equal to 0, which is equal to 2y squared plus 6y plus 4, like so. So we need to think about, am I going to be using the quadratic formula or am I going to be using the factorizing? Now with this one, notice that actually I can first of all divide it by 2 and it doesn't actually say do it to 2 decimal places. If it was on a calculator paper, you could use it anyway, but I'm going to divide this by 2 first. So divide by 2 is going to be 0 is equal to y squared plus 3y plus 2. Okay, super. And I can see now straight away that actually I can factorize this. So 0 is equal to something that times is together to make 2, adds together to make 3. So the factors of 2 are just 1 and 2, which makes sense because they add together to make 3. So y plus 1, y plus 2, super. So I get 2 values. So either y is equal to minus 1 or y is equal to minus 2, like so. Remember, I still haven't finished this because I do need to find out what x is as well. And I'm going to sub that straight into this top part here. So 2 plus y. So let's write it here. X is equal to 2 plus y. So x is equal to 2 plus minus 1. Well, 2 plus minus 1 is equal to 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. Brilliant. And with this one here, 2 plus minus 2 is equal to 2 plus minus 2 is equal to 0. And there we've got our solution. So y is equal to minus 1 when x is equal to 1. And y is equal to minus 2 when x is equal to 0. Super. Brilliant. Again, that is long. I've just done that quickly to show you the answers. Let's just check that we've got that right. Brilliant. Yeah, good. So what I'm going to suggest now, I'm going to put some questions up. I want you to have a little go at these. Remember to make sure you have a go at all of them because the only way to learn maths is to do it. So let's put them up now. So have a go at these questions. There's 8 questions there for you to have a go at. Make sure you pause, take your time. Okay, and I'll put the answers up, so mark these in green. So mark those in green. Okay, so thank you for watching this video on solving simultaneous quadratics. Now, I know that was quite a long video, but this does come up on GCSE and in the start of A-level as well, so it's worth spending time getting to grips with it and understanding it, okay? So do make sure you're having a go at these questions, because remember, the only way to learn maths is to do it, and have a lovely day.